Hello everyone, we are back again with another proof of concept build guide update for our Disciple of Varashta, which is currently level 91 in Hardcore Runes of Lore League. We have not died just yet in Runes of Ador. We are currently sitting pretty tanky with 59% armor due to the Ascendancy, with no armor actually invested. We've got fairly capped reses, one life going CI, energy shield could do a lot better, but we're sitting at about 7.7. And what's really nice is we have this energy shield charge per second. So this here is due to a nice unique interaction that we have with Reverie and Chevron's Satchel. And what's really important about the Ascendancy is that the Ascendancy for Sacred Rituals here, where you get 60% of your current energy shield is added to armor for determining physical damage from armor. So that's why you can see here we have 54% estimated physical damage reduction, is because the damage reduction is coming from having full energy shield. But if your energy shield gets low, as does the physical damage reduction that you receive from this. So that's why if you look at your character sheet, there's actually a range. It says 12 to 59%. So that could actually go down as you're taking damage. So the more damage that you take, the more damage you take. It's not actually that great. So we want to try to stay tapped off as much as possible. Last league, we used the Sprung Satchel on our Druid to just be able to spam flasks. But with Reverie, this makes it to where our life flask is applying all of the time at half of its value. So the Chevron Satchel converts that life recovery from our flask to energy shield, which translates to just generic energy shield recovery, which is quite nice. It does not get rid of the energy shield recharge that happens naturally. So you can actually achieve pretty high levels of regeneration through this. My flask is not the best flask. As you can see, I've only got tier 2 and tier 3 mods on this, not the highest rolls. I did take in a couple of nodes here for life flask, where you can see life recovery from flasks increases the amount of regeneration that we get from our energy shield. So our skills that we're going to be utilizing is primarily Bone Cage with Trickster Shards, Triskelion Cascade to create a cascade of bone cages. So this will be our clear with our single target, sprinkling in some bone storms and a nice interaction with Flame Wall and Controlled Destruction, where our Controlled Destruction here, our Controlled Metamorphosis diamond here, which applies a very massive ring here, or we only really need the very large ring here. This ring, you can allocate points without actually traveling to them. So we take the spell damage and we take this area damage ruin. However, the awesome node that you can get from very large diamonds is our infusion of power, where you gain a power charge when you consume an elemental infusion. And so our elemental infusion we are getting from powered by Verisiums. So we will infuse our flame walls with powered by Verisium, which will then trigger infusion of power to give us a power charge. So I'll show you what that looks like here. If I just do my powered by Verisium, you can see here you get the electric flame wall, which then allows for the power charge. And I can spam this a couple times to get generic power charges on demand. So very nice if you are running a power charge build. Highly recommend this Controlled Metamorphosis and the infusion of power along with Verisium infusions to be able to get this going, especially on a cast on crit or cast on elemental ailment setup. So this is powered by Convalescence for defenses, Mana Remnants for our mana regeneration, and Remnants of Kalgur to overflow our ward and keep our ward generation high, as we do like to spam our Triskelion Cascade. We're sitting in hideout. As you can see, we do not have enough regeneration on its own to be able to spam this ability. It does take some time to get our runic ward back. So the Remnants of Kalgur is absolutely needed on this build in order to be able to keep the Bone Cage sustain with your Triskelion Cascade, as you'll be picking up those remnants anytime you kill an enemy or you stun an enemy. Similarly, with Mana Remnants, this is a very mana-hungry build. You'll see we actually take quite a bit of mana regeneration on the build, and that is very important as we really need as much mana regeneration as possible, as these skills can be quite costly to sustain. As you can see, the mana goes down quite a bit for these skills. So, what do we pair this with? Our Bone Cage. Our Bone Cage is set up with Zenith for mana cost efficiency. Again, our mana cost is very high on these skills. And as long as we're mapping and we're collecting the mana remnants, we can actually keep above 90% with this Zenith node to get the 30% more damage from spells, which is quite nice. We also pair in Heft, we pair in Bleeding. Bleeding is just for occasional clearing, if you'd like to be able to just hit once and then walk away. And then Astral Projection and Trickster Shard. Bleed, we could probably swap out for any sort of crit node, maybe Blindside, or perhaps Pinpoint Critical. For Triskelion Cascade, we can see here this is really just a buffing ability. So what this does is it taps into the power of your Triskelion Flame to empower the next skill that you cast, and it basically cascades 6 areas around you in a pattern. So as you can see here, if I click the Triskelion Cascade and then tap the Bone Storm, we can get that nice pattern of Bone Storms. And occasionally they actually do overlap if you have an enemy that's like pinned in a corner. For example, right there, Zelina would have taken several Bone Storm hits to the face. So, Bone Cage hits to the face. So Bone Cage is quite nice. As you can see, this is my DPS at about 59% critical hit chance in base, at about 264% critical damage bonus. Bleeds are proccing anywhere from 800 to 1600, which is fairly nice for just cleaning up some white mobs. But again, feel free to socket in what you need here for this. This is a level 19 skill gem, and it is only 20 quality, so we can actually go to 21 to get more out of this, so we could actually see higher DPS out of the Bone Cage, and it actually does not take into account the Trickster Shard, which the Trickster Shard mimics the cast. If you're not familiar with that, anytime you use your ability 4 times, your Tricksters will then make an explosion and cast the ability, or recast the ability where you had previously cast them. So you can see there these mirror images of myself popping up. And then every 4th cast, we get that big explosion where they come in and cast the ability. So it's actually quite nice if you are pairing it with Triskelion Cascade, because you can get quite a bit of clear out of your Bone Cages without sacrificing damage, or at least a lot of damage through Spell Cascade. And Trickster Shard is quite nice as well, as each one of these Tricksters deal 50% less damage, but there's 4 of them. So this actually equates to more damage at the end of the day. On that big explosion, and so if you are able to stack these up on the bosses and be able to get all 4 hitting, it is quite nice on a single target, or again you can kind of use it as clearing the screen, so it serves a dual function here for Trickster Shard. And for Bone Storm, so Bone Storm currently level 19, again can utilize some more levels. This is not an end game guide, I'm not quite yet there. I am doing tier 15s. Fairly juiced, not necessarily full 200% Abyss, not full 4 mod fragments on city maps or anything like that just yet. We could potentially get to that level. We have a few more upgrades that we need to make in order to get to that level. But Bone Storm, quite nice. Bone Storm is helping our single target. It also builds up Impale stacks for us. And so this is featured with Considered Casting, Rapid Casting, Blindside, Burgeon, and Multi-Shot. Multi-Shot we'd like to get rid of eventually with some pathing nodes in the tree to allow us to be able to shoot multiple projectiles at once. But it is nice to be able to get our Bone Storms generated much faster, which is what the Multi-Shot is for. You can see there is a sheet DPS loss for this, but it's actually a net DPS increase because you are shooting out more Bone Storms per second in this setup. Alright, Thunderstorm is really just featured to have blind, so that blind side is affected with Bone Storm. And you can also have Living Lightning on this, so that Living Lightning feeds off the impales that Bone Storm inflicts. Flame Wall is again for the Vericium infusion generation, but it also powers up our Bone Storm projectiles as we shoot through them. You can see it picks up the fire and electric damage, which is quite nice. And the rest, again, I have explained. So very, very simple build. And this Rite of Restoration, for those that don't know, Reverie here gives this. This is really just a buff per stage. Think of it like Sigil of Power, except for when you're spending your mana, you're going to get 15% more armor, evasion, and energy shield, as well as some life regeneration per stage. So you can see here, if I plop this bad boy down, I have 8,932 mana, and if I start spending my mana, we can actually get up to 12,427 at maximum stacks, and we can actually kind of spam this thing and keep it going with the current setup that we have, as it is featured with Overabundance, Second Wind, Prolonged Duration, and Cooldown Recovery, and that's enough to just about keep this down. Again, I wish that if you did move from circle to circle, it kept your stacks from circle to circle, but it actually gives you a new set of stacks. So I could be at 4 stacks on that circle, and then walk over into this circle and be at 1 stack if I only casted one ability in the new circle. So anyways, quite nice. We are going to do a quick tier 15 map to show where we're at. This is nothing too crazy. It has some chilled ground, extra chaos for CI, and some break armor, sun build up. We're just going to find something close to the Atlas here. Might as well just let's do our Rust Bowl. Irradiated with a couple of Abyss mods on it. We do have a Deli Mirror. And so this map actually may take a little while. I might try to just rush to the boss and then come back for some of the abysses, just for the purposes of the video. We're going to show kind of what some of the clear looks like here, as well as the setups and what you need to kind of look out for while you're doing your mapping experience here. So overall, this is kind of like a mowers type of build. If you're a fan of lawn mowers, this will be that type of build for you, because you kind of just go over the same mods over and over and over again until they eventually die. Eventually we can get enough DPS, or if you're on softcore, you should be able to get enough DPS to clear these mobs much faster, as the gear over there is actually much better. The staff that I have is good for hardcore, but it's not necessarily the best that you could get. And with all of the crafting this league, you can certainly do, again, much, much better. There's a better amulet you can get as well with more plus level to skills. All that to say that this DPS that you're seeing now can be achieved on a very, very low budget, and you can be doing tier 15s on a very, very low budget on softcore. Really just need the chest piece and the unique belt in order to be able to get the build going. And the reason why I say the build going is because of the defensiveness of that, and defensiveness of that is quite nice because of the Disciple of Rasha. You can see anytime I'm getting hit, I just get my energy shield right back, and I'm not walking Ghost Stance or anything like that. If you did Ghost Stance, if you incorporated some more Spirit, if you can incorporate some more Evasion, that'll just be even more defenses, which is quite nice. And then, of course, anytime you see that we take a lot of damage, we can just hit that oh crap convalescence button there, and the convalescence button will allow us to do what we need to do and recharge our energy shield. So as you can see here, we've got a few rares bunched up. We're just gonna spam these cascades as much as possible. Cascades adds a little bit of damage. I'm gonna go ahead and hit that convalescence, get myself regened up here while we start to tank these mobs. And then, so for these single targets, we can just drop a wall of flame and then the Bone Storm, which is what I could be doing for these, just like that. And one thing about Bone Cage is that enemies can sit in the middle of it, so you have to kind of aim a few feet off to the side of the enemy in order to get the bone cage to actually hit them. Which is actually kind of why I like Triskelion Cascade, because it just cascades and one of them's bound to hit them, right? Alright. Again, this is just a deliriumed up tier 15. It's not, you know, extremely juiced or anything. We are making some good progress here, however, in this abyss. And I'll probably come back to these abysses and get them cleaned up after the video. But this is kind of the pace. It is not a fast build. We do not have a lot of movement speed, and then while you're casting, you're going to be pretty slow. So if you can fit more, by all means fit more. If you don't like to be slow, take those nodes that allows you to cast while moving with reduced slowing potency, so you actually are moving faster while casting. And Bone Cage is quite nice because of the pinning ability, so even though we are slow, most things in and around us get pinned. And if we see some, like, you know, mobs diving on us here, we can just hit the cascade and anything around us gets pinned as we're kind of focusing some of the mobs further along. Alright, we've made it to the boss here. See if we can try to land some of these. Some of these bone cages, or bone storms, can be difficult to land on occasion. I'll let the living lightning do its work. And as you can see, our single target can do much better. But it gets the job done. And he's down. So again, bossing can be much, much better. And we do plan on nearly doubling or tripling our Bone Storm DPS. And again, for the purposes of this video, I'll just go ahead and end the mapping experience there. But there are some abysses I need to go back and clean up. Alright. So again, that is our Disciple of Varashta. This is level 91 currently, Disciple of Katav, I believe is the character name. If you want to follow me on PoE Ninja or Progress, we'll highlight some of the gear that we have here. So if we look at our jewels is where we can make a lot of improvement. I really just try to look for maximum energy shield and a little bit of crit where I could pick it up. So critical hit chance here, maximum energy shield. The controlled metamorphosis is very important, the diamond here. We went over that earlier. You have maximum energy shield, mana regeneration rate. We have maximum energy shield, cast speed, and energy shield from focus. So again, jewels, very, very mid-tier. Just slot them in. Focus your jewels, get more energy shield, get more crit. And then come up here, and then also we can make a time loss jewel. That would be my next big upgrade. Time loss jewel here, diamond, will allow us to take nodes up along this chain here, as well as take these nodes here and here, and get a ton of critical spell damage bonus once we socket that in, which will allow our DPS to skyrocket. And yeah, so that's basically the tree. For Bone Storm, we can come up here and we can take these additional spell skills have additional chance to fire projectiles, and the additional a chance to fire projectiles here and here as well. And that'll make your Bone Storms quite nice without having to go to and utilize the multi-shot. Now, if I look at some of the gear that we have here, excuse me, we have a staff. Staff is very simple. I've just got some double gain extras, plus levels to all spells, critical hit chance, and cast speed. Again, on softcore, you can do much better. On hardcore, this is a decent one, but find something better than this. Go +7. You know, get yourself a triple gain, or even spell damage would be really nice here instead of mana. Whatever you need, but you definitely want the cast speed, and you definitely want the critical hit chance for spells. That's very, very, very important. Now, we do want a couple of our items to have Runic Ward, not all of our items, as we are Energy Shield, but some of them in order for us to be able to cast our Triskelion Cascade. So, our gloves, we did feature some Runic Ward on it. Other than that, it's just Resis, Energy Shield, and critical damage bonus. Boots, very straightforward. Just Energy Shield and Resis and attributes as you need it. The ring that we actually crafted is fairly decent. We need mana regeneration rate. That is very, very important. You need mana regeneration rate as much as possible. We do have spell damage on full Energy Shield, and then increased resistances. This ring, just some cast speed, resistances, and mana regeneration rate. And the amulet that we have, we allocate Heavy Drinker. The guard effect does not work, as our guard is based on life, and life is only 1. However, the life recovery from flasks is what we are utilizing this for, to be able to get more regeneration, at least for the time being. Plus level to all spell skills, and some mana regeneration rate, some resis, and some attributes. Our helmet, again, just Energy Shield, resis, mana, and the focus, Energy Shields, plus level to spells, cast speed. It would be nice to get some critical hit chance on this. Again, very, very mid-budget tier gear. You could probably afford all of this, less than 5 divs on softcore. So, that being said, hope you enjoyed the build guide and the quick mapping demo. Apologize for the lack of single target DPS and the piloting there for the single target boss, but it's kind of what you get for this budget, and we do have a ways to go with this. I am working on several other characters. However, I've got a level 92 Ritualist on hardcore that is a color, and I am working on an Infernalist, which is currently, I believe, a level 86. That is going to be an Ignite-based Infernalist, utilizing a lot of the new Runic Ward loops. So stay tuned, have fun, check us out on Twitch, like and subscribe if you like the video, if you want more content like this, or if you think it's trash, say so in the comments below. Happy to discuss and happy to improve in the future. Again, we'll launch a POB upon request. If you'd like a POB, I can actually generate one on my character to show you the character, and then I can also create one that's utilizing hundreds of divs worth of investment in a softcore type of scenario that will show you exactly what this build is capable of in its long term. So, that being said, still playing this league, still enjoying this league. We hope you have a good one. Take it easy.